But I think when it comes to like feminine health, the importance of like us understanding our bodies and knowing what's going on, a lot of times there's just this energy of like, yeah, just like take some birth control and you'll be fine. I feel like when it comes to women's health, there is this like vibe of not really caring that much. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Felicia and this is The Feminine Fancy. I'm really excited for this video because we are going to be talking about health, feminine health, hormone balancing, and all of those things. This is something that is very personal to me. This is a journey that I went on in 2020, and I feel like ever since then I've seen maybe it's just my algorithm because I like was searching things up, but I feel like ever since then I've seen an uprising in content around like healing your body, healing your hormones, balancing your hormones, not having as like heavy or painful periods, things like that. So I feel like this is becoming like a popular thing to talk about. What I'm seeing in my personal life and online, it seems like a lot of women are getting really sick and tired of not understanding our bodies and not understanding like how they work and how different things affect us. I think we're just getting tired of like accepting the fact that like doctors don't really have any answers for us most of the time, and we're just put on birth control and told to like basically like shut up and go away. So I want to talk to you a little bit about my hormone balancing journey and how I have gotten to the place where I'm at now, where I feel very comfortable in my body. I feel like I understand my cycle so much more than I did a few years ago. I feel like I have a good understanding of like what my body needs in order to heal and in order to function at optimal levels. I don't want to function at baseline. I want to function optimally. But that's what we're talking about today. If you are interested in this topic or if you like this topic, please give this video a thumbs up. I like to try to get my videos to 1,000 likes. Comment down below if you have had any hormonal issues or if you've struggled with this, because I feel like it's been really, really common these days. Okay, so let's rewind all the way back to 2020 when I took a run-of-the-mill trip to the gynecologist, and we all love a trip to the gynecologist. That is sarcasm. Gynos are fine, but I took a run-of-the-mill trip to the gynecologist, was made aware of some hormonal imbalances that was going on in my body that I just had absolutely no idea about. I'm not gonna go into detail about my personal health or my personal health issues, but I was also displaying some inflammation on very vital organs. And that was not the news that I wanted to hear. And when I talked to my gynecologist, she basically said like, yeah, there's like not much we can do. Like if it's for your hormone imbalance, like we can put you on birth control for the inflammation and things like that. Like there's not really much that we can do. And I was like, tight. That's great. That's great news. I walked out of the doctor's office just feeling very defeated and feeling like, oh my gosh, I had no idea this was going on inside of my body. Like, how did this happen? You know, I was just really nervous and really scared, honestly, because, you know, up until that point, I had just thought that it was normal to be in pain every month for, you know, multiple days out of the month, and to just kind of accept the fact that like, yeah, during the week of my bleed, I'm going to be miserable. I'm going to be in a lot of pain. It's going to be really not fun, because that was what I was told. Based on like my matriarchal lineage, that is what was normal for my family. And so I thought that that was just like the norm for me. So walking out of that appointment, I was kind of like, what is going on here? Like I thought that all of this was just like typical. And when I found out that there were actually like deeper issues going on, I wouldn't say I panicked. Just kidding, of course I panicked. That brings me to my first bit of advice if you are struggling with something like this, and that is to be your own advocate. Unfortunately, the way that our medical system is set up, the way that our doctors are set up, is that they're not exactly trained in preventative measures. They are more so trained in treatment. So of course, when you go to the doctor, when you go to the gynecologist and you're like, I have this issue, they're gonna be like, here's this pill, because they know how to treat. And I don't wanna blanket statement all doctors, obviously, because I know there are wonderful, wonderful doctors, amazing, life-saving people. But I think when it comes to like feminine health, the importance of like us understanding our bodies and knowing what's going on, a lot of times there's just this energy of like, yeah, just like take some birth control and you'll be fine. I feel like when it comes to women's health, there is this like vibe of not really caring that much, or just being like, yeah, that just kind of is what it is. So you have to be your own advocate. And so what I did, the first thing that I did was I went home and I searched for a naturopathic doctor. I knew about naturopaths because I have a really good friend who struggles with PCOS. And she didn't know she had PCOS for a very long time, and she just didn't understand what was going on with her body. She was breaking out a lot, gaining weight, like things were just out of whack. It was a whole mess. I remembered her talking about going to a naturopathic doctor. When she came out to visit me one time, we had this really fun trip that we did together. She came out to visit and she had to be very, very specific about what she was eating, and I was like, what's going on? And she was like, well, I'm on this regimen for my PCOS. I knew about naturopaths from her. So I decided to search up a naturopathic doctor in my area, and I found the absolute best doctor I think, in the world. When I went to go see her, it was a completely different experience than going to my gynecologist. She sat down with me the first time for like an hour, and we just talked about everything. She explained so much to me about what might be going on, what my regimen should be in order to heal and in order to like solve these issues. And she really just encouraged me and made me feel so much better. Like, I walked out of her office feeling empowered and feeling like I could handle this and I could take control of my body. When it comes to your health, you absolutely have to be your own best advocate. Doctors are people too. They miss things, they misdiagnose things, and they have a lot of patience. If you're not just like on top of it for yourself, you can't always rely on your doctor to be like calling you up all the time like, hey, did you do this? Did you do that? Like, that's not really their job. Be your own best advocate. If you have left a doctor's office feeling like you didn't get the answers you wanted and you didn't get the response that you wanted, go home and do your own research and see what you can find, see what information you can find and what you can learn. With what I was experiencing, my doctor said that there was nothing I could do about it. There was nothing, that I just had to like chill and see if it like resolved on its own. And I refused to accept that as an answer. I was like, absolutely not. I will not just leave it up to chance. I will figure this out myself. Finding my naturopath honestly changed my life so much. And see if there are holistic alternatives to your particular issue. Chances are there might be, like, people underestimate, I think, the power of holistic medicine. Utilizing natural elements while also utilizing like advances in the sciences and in medicine, for me, is the best way to go about healing my body. When I went to my naturopath, she ended up putting me on a supplement regimen. And I am not here to suggest anything particularly for you. However, getting on that supplement regimen was so helpful for me. I was taking supplements that I didn't even know I was deficient in. And that was what was really great, because when I went to her, she actually had me go back to my general practitioner and get blood work done. And when I got that blood work done, I learned that I was deficient in vitamin D. My general practitioner was like, yeah, you can just take like, you know, however many milligrams or however many IUs of vitamin D and you should be fine. And when I went to my naturopath, she was like, absolutely not. Like, you need so much more vitamin D than they're telling you that you need. Particularly for women of color, taking vitamin D as a supplement is very important. Because we have darker skin, we don't absorb the vitamin D from the sun in the best way. Like, many of us are very deficient in vitamin D, and there have been studies linking that vitamin D deficiency in Black women to breast cancer, ovarian cancer, all sorts of feminine health issues because of this deficiency. That was one of the supplements that she put me on, in addition to many others. I started taking folate, which is also really important for hormone balancing and reproductive health. I started taking green tea supplements for the inflammation, a variety of other things that I was on. And it was really kind of like intense at first, because I've never had any medical issues, knock on wood, praise God. I've never had any medical issues. And so having to be so on top of this supplement regimen and my diet and exercise regimen, which I will get into, it was an adjustment. It was an adjustment for me. At the end of it, I ended up feeling like the healthiest I've ever felt. Being on a supplement regimen for me was really helpful in helping to solve certain issues and to help with my hormone imbalances. So the next thing that my naturopath had me do was get onto a diet and lifestyle sort of shift. And this one was very difficult because, as you guys know, I love to bake. I love to cook. I'm always in the kitchen. It's something that I absolutely love to do. And so that year, so 2020, was really a time for me of figuring out like how to cook and how to bake within the new confines of what I was allowed to eat. I was not allowed to have sugars, I was not allowed to have dairy, and I wasn't allowed to have gluten. The reason why is because all of those things were quite inflammatory for my body. I'm not gonna say that they were inflammatory for everyone, but they were for my body. I had to stop eating all my creamy pastas and doing all of my great baking, but it was actually really fun because it gave me an opportunity to learn how to cook in a way that's still delicious. It's also not going to cause any uprising, any uproar within me internally. Learning about inflammation within the body and learning how to like keep that low, like keep that at a minimum was really, really helpful and was something I just didn't know about. Like I didn't know prior to this whole thing that there was such a thing as inflammation in the body. Like I didn't, that was not something that I could even like conceptualize and think about. Learning that was really important for me, and then seeking out different ways that I can nourish myself and feel satisfied and feel like I enjoy the food that I'm eating. Because one thing I don't want to do is eat chicken and broccoli every day. Like that's one thing I don't want to do. I hate that. That's why you'll never find me on a paleo diet, because I'm just not going to do it. I love food way too much. I changed a lot of my baking to gluten-free baking, and I would just make little swaps. Like if a recipe called for milk or heavy cream, I would use coconut milk or coconut cream. You know, it was an adjustment, but it definitely helped in the long run. And now when I cook, kind of comes as second nature. Like I'm always gonna have coconut milk and coconut cream in my pantry. I'm always gonna have gluten-free toast and just a variety of things that I know are not going to cause my body to become inflamed and, you know, upset, basically. Another thing that became really, really helpful for me was tracking my cycle. Prior to 2020, I was the kind of person who I would kind of track my cycle like on an app. I would just put in a date that my period started and then kind of just forget about it. Once all of this started, I started tracking my cycle like much more. I was doing the basal body temperature, I was tracking my cervical mucus, and even though I don't do it as intensely as I was doing it back then, it still helped me so much to just like be in my body and to feel what is going on. Now I'm not like, oh, what is this weird, this is gonna be TMI. What is this weird discharge? Now I'm like, oh, I know that I'm ovulating. So that's great. I have the information now, and I have like the verbiage now that I didn't have before. So I would really suggest looking into tracking your cycle and not just throwing it into an app and like hoping that the app is like correct. Tracking your ovulation, knowing what phase of your period you're in, checking your cervical mucus, finding it, like knowing if you are fertile or not fertile. Like these are the things that are very, very helpful to know. And so when you go into your doctor's appointments, you go to your gyno, you can say like, well, this is what I know about my body. And this is really helpful for me too, because typically what people will tell you when it comes to a woman's cycle, they will say, oh, a typical cycle is 28 days. However, my cycle is not 28 days. My cycle is shorter than that. And so when it comes to like natural family planning, things like that, you'll see the information that says like, oh, you ovulate on day 14. I don't ovulate on day 14. I ovulate on day 10 because I have a shorter cycle. So knowing that about myself makes me feel so empowered, and I can go into the doctor and I can say, well, here's what I know about my body right now. Like these are the facts. I've been tracking this for 2 years, and I know that this is what where my body is at. And with that information, they can move forward accordingly. Because once I started tracking my cycle, once I began to realize like, oh, my cycle is shorter than the average, even though that's how my mom's was, that's how my grandma's was. Now my naturopath and I are working to make it a little bit longer, because a shorter cycle can be indicative of low progesterone. So there are still like things that I'm working through and that I'm working out. Overall, I feel so much healthier and more confident in my body. Just have so much more knowledge about my body, about my womb, my feminine system. Like I know so much more now than I did prior to all of this happening. I'm gonna look and see the app I'm gonna see if I can find the app that I use. It's called Read Your Body. I really like it because you can add pictures, you can add notes. So yes, I add pictures of my cervical mucus and then you can also add your temperature. You can add, like, there's so much that you can add in this app. And my therapist suggested it for me. If you'll see, you can see that there's so many different things that you can identify. The data, there's so much data you can input into this app. And I actually need to update because I didn't do it this month, but not yet. Yeah, so the Read Your Body app is really, really helpful. So shout out to my therapist for suggesting that. I also had to have just like a general lifestyle change, which was much easier, I will say, in quarantine than it is now, because there was no pressure. I felt like I could go on walks, I could exercise in the backyard. Like, I was definitely on more of a schedule. That was really important as well. So like, just overall lifestyle changes, cutting out alcohol, not that I drink that much anyway, but cutting it out entirely, exercising, going on walks, getting to bed at a decent hour, lowering stress. That was a huge one that my naturopath, that she emphasized, was that I had to keep stress super, super low. And so that was when I started doing my weekly like bath ritual. And so every Tuesday night I would get a book, I would make a bath, I would put different essential oils, different Epsom salts, and then I would go outside, I'd get some like lemongrass from my mom's garden and throw it in the bath water, and I would just like sit in there and like meditate or read to keep my stress levels down. We live in such a society that like runs off of being stressed all the time that it's very difficult to keep stress levels down. But if you can find ways to do it, like, you really it's something that you honestly should schedule in, like schedule in times to not be stressed, whether that is by doing yoga. That's also when I got into yoga, whether it's meditation or whether it's like a weekly bath ritual like I was doing. Like, it's very, very helpful and really quite crucial that you keep your stress and your cortisol levels low in order for your body to work at its best capacity. And finally, I had to believe that I could heal. I think a big part of like having these issues is you start to think that like this is just normal and it's not going to change. You have to believe, you really have to believe, like, I can heal my body. I had a lot of different sayings during this time, and I still use these now if there's something wrong or something feels off. And that was, my body knows how to heal, my body wants to heal. And that phrase was just like a guiding light for me, and has continued to be a guiding light when it comes to my health. I know that my body wants to be alive and it wants to heal and wants to help me. I don't think your body is here to like try and make life difficult for you. I think it wants to help you. And so you really have to believe and mentally accept and, you know, have these sort of like repetitions of like, my body wants to heal, my body knows how to heal. What I kept thinking about was like, okay, if when I get a cut on my arm, my body can heal and my skin can come back together and I can just have like a little scar left behind from something, I know internally it can do the same thing. But just knowing like your body wants to heal, your body knows how to heal, it wants to help you, it's not out to get you, that is also really important to keep in mind as well. All right guys, that's it for this video. I hope that you liked it. I hope that you got some good information from it. If you did, please leave a comment down below. Let me know about your healing journey, about your hormonal journey I feel like so many of us have had to go on over the last few years. And make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. That would help me a lot. You can find me on Instagram at _thefemininefancy_. You can also find me on my blog at thefemininefancy.com. I think this might be the last video for 2022. So thank you guys for sticking it out with me, and I'll see you in the new year. Bye.